he appeared to be irate. At this point, the patient pulled a pistol out of his waistband and started to flash. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So by now, I'm sure you guys have seen the interview briefly. I mean, it's a very complex topic. We could only cover so much ground in 30 minutes. So if you haven't seen it, I have it posted on my Facebook page, my Instagram page as well. And, shout out to the gentleman who has been helping us get this story out here, John Weiber, a friend from Canada. But what I do want to say is, ironically, after the interview released and other things started to drop, I received an email today at 1 p.m. So if you remember, there were some allegations that came forward in January. Now, this is a January 9th, 2025 meeting at marker 33 minutes and 53 seconds. If you go to the YouTube page for the Township, you'll be able to see the segment where Commissioner Eric Gass, sitting as Ward 7 commissioner at the time, called for an investigation into the allegations that the defendant, Nolan Patrick Mullen, brandished a firearm at the scene of the July 7th, 2024 accident. So a week later, we were told at the following meeting by lawyer Chelsea Dice that there was an investigation done and that the claims were unfounded and that it was a closed case. We then went through a process of trying to get the notes from that investigation, which we have been unsuccessful in doing. However, we did receive an email today. And here is the email that we received. In the email were some documents, and the title of the email was Quite the Investigation. And investigation was in quotations. So the first document in the PDF was sent on January 10th. So this would have been the day after Commissioner Gass called for that investigation into the firearm. And below, this is to Harry Falk from Skip Cook, who's the chief, or was at the time. I don't know who's chief now. But he says, below is an overview of an incident that Fairmont Hometown VFD was dispatched to on 7/7/24 at 13:24, which would be 1:24 in the afternoon. Incident number F as in Frank 240-11406. I responded directly to the scene from my residence. Upon arrival to the accident, I parked my vehicle in the driveway of a residence 2 houses up from the accident scene. EMS and police were already on scene. I proceeded to the first vehicle involved in the accident, a black Dodge sedan. A young adult male was outside of the vehicle in a yard near the vehicle. The front porch of the sedan had significant front end damage. I asked him if he was okay and if there was anyone else in his vehicle. When the accident occurred, he stated he was the only person in the vehicle. I instructed him to stay where he was and that I would send EMS up to him to check and make sure he was okay due to the damage of his vehicle. I then proceeded to the second vehicle, a Ford Escape that had significant front end damage. EMS at the time had just gained access to the female driver and was getting ready to remove the patient from the vehicle. I was informed that there was an infant in the rear seat that was already removed from the vehicle and was in the back seat of an ambulance. The female patient was removed from the vehicle, placed in the ambulance to be transported to the hospital. Our fire department, along with Realton Volunteer Fire Department, assisted in traffic control and debris cleanup once the vehicles were removed from the roadway. I then returned to our station. While at the scene, I never felt threatened or unsafe and returned to the station. No one from my department approached me and informed me that they felt unsafe at the scene. I was informed later that there was a weapon at the scene, but I did not ever visualize a weapon at the scene. If you require any further information or have any questions, please feel free to contact me. You can reach out to me by cell, and there's a cell phone number, or via email, and there is the email. Sincerely, Skip Cook, Chief of the Fairmont Hometown Volunteer Fire Department, Station 8. So we're going to skip this one, and we're going to go to some of the emails that were sent. So these seem to be emails that were sent in by people on the scene. Rob, I did not witness the specifics of this incident as I was providing patient care to the unresponsive female patient. Thanks. Again, good morning. I was focused on the patient I was caring for who did not pull a firearm. I did not see anyone else do so. Okay. So, Rob, in regard to the incident on July 7th of 2024 at the accident on Clay Pike on Brokers Lane, I did not see anything of that nature. So here's some people that were at the scene. They were rendering care to Katie, as it would seem. That's who they were focused on. And they did not see this allegation that a firearm was branded. However, let's go back to the first one we skipped. Now, there are some redactions in this, and this is how it was sent to me. But, Clay Pike and Brokers Lane incident report. On July 7th at 125, North Huntington EMS and Rescue was dispatched to a two-vehicle accident at Clay Pike and Brokers Lane. Two ambulances and the rescue truck went en route. Once on scene, EMS identified three patients and split crews to triage appropriately. Redaction made contact with the male driver of the vehicle. The male had blood covering his face and substantial damage to the front of his vehicle. When attempting to assess this patient on the side of the road with police present, he appeared to be irate. At this point, the patient pulled a pistol out of his waistband and started to flash, and there's a redaction, and the police officer with the pistol. So it seems like the redaction, it's hard because of where it's at, but and the police officer with the pistol, they're talking about brandishing. It leads me to believe he pointed a pistol at the cops. The patient gave the officer the pistol after he asked politely for it. So, I mean, how many United States citizens do you think have the ability to run around brandishing firearms in the presence of police, even potentially, and we don't know for sure because of where the redaction is, but maybe even pointing it at the police. And then they get asked politely to give up the firearm, which is what we were told by people that were at the scene, that after the incident had taken place, that Mr. Mullen had approached Lieutenant Gregory Arendez and stuck his hand out and said, "I'll take my fucking gun back now," to which he was given his gun back. But back to this, right? So the patient gave the officer the pistol after he asked politely for it. Once the officer stated that he was going to secure it in his vehicle, the patient became more irate. He was more worried about that pistol than he was the woman and small child being my family members that he had sent to a level 2 trauma center. Okay. I get so mad just like reading this stuff. I'm really trying to keep my composure right now. So he was mad, and after it says the patient became more irate. After a few minutes, redaction was able to convince the patient to sit down and be evaluated. Redaction attempted to place a blood pressure cuff on the patient. The patient pushed my hands away. So the person, writing this was the one that was trying to put the cuff on the defendant. And then he got up and went back to his vehicle. At this point, redaction went to assist with other patient care before leaving the scene. Medic 942 arrived and was briefed on the patient. So, I mean, there you have it. I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say other than it's over. You will save the taxpayers a lot of time, money, and frustration if you guys just admit that you have lost. Because with the exposure that is now about to start coming, it will be unavoidable. The accountability will be unavoidable. You guys are not as powerful as you think you are. You're not as powerful as you have tricked my neighbors into thinking you are. In fact, you have no power at all, right? You gain your power from the sovereignty of the American people. And while I will concede to the fact that a majority, it seems, of the residents in North Huntington Township up until my arrival, although some of them disagreed heavily with how things were done here, they were willing to just accept it because nobody really wants to be the guy rocking the boat. But when you do what you did to a woman and a small child, and that woman and small child are attached to a gentleman like me, which I find it so, I mean, humorous, honestly, at this point, because I tried to avoid where we're at right now, like this video being made, the exposure, all of it. I spoke to you guys for months before showing up to a public meeting, and I told you that this kind of stuff would happen. I told you didn't know who I was, you didn't know what my skill set was. I mean, I'm not going to go through the list, but I told you guys these things, and I asked you to just be fair with my son and his mother, to treat our family with dignity, to answer our questions, to explain why there was no field sobriety test done, to explain why there was no crash investigation done, to explain why he had the ability to, allegedly brandish a firearm at people in front of police with no consequences. I mean, that's a criminal case within itself. So not only did the crime of the accident happen, the crash, but then there was another crime committed when a firearm was brandished in the direction of people on the scene. So there's an arrest that we need to see. I demand that Nolan Patrick Mullen answer for pulling a weapon on the scene of that crash. I mean, based on what we have been told by multiple people, including information that came from first responders and now these emails, I think it's safe to say that there is plenty of probable cause and reasonable articulable suspicion to start an investigation into that brandishing. And I'll tell you where that investigation starts. It starts with Pipe Down Eric, because that body cam footage from that scene will show what happened on that scene. And we know there's body cam footage because they agreed to show it to the commissioners and then took that offer off the table when it came time to present the information. Now, why do you think that is? Why do you think they were told they could see it and then last second you're not seeing it? So we know it exists. So don't try to tell us it doesn't exist. Don't show us any footage with cuts or gaps, because I know how Nicole, I know how you got in office and you wanted to implement this this procedure where you have to look at all the body cam footage before we, the people, get it. And I don't know who the hell you think you are, ma'am, that you have some sort of like it's our body cam footage. There's no redactions needed to body cam footage. Now I know that Chelsea Dice, because that's what the politicians like to do. They like to hide behind children, right? They like when I spoke at the first meeting on the 14th of November. That was what Eric Gass said. You're scaring the kids, Nick, because my language was strong and my voice was a little bit raised because of just the insanity of what they were doing to my family. But they want to turn it into that I somehow was a threat to children in that moment. And they tried to do the same bullshit song and dance with the body cam footage. Chelsea Dice tried to rattle off some BS about, well, we need to review it and potential redactions, and that's why it costs $600 because there could be children in the video. Well, you know what? I'm not. Listen. If you want to take the time to redact footage to shield the identities of children that are not involved in the incident, I don't really have a problem with that for this specific incident, at least. But what I'll say is, I'm not paying $600 for you to do it, and I'm not going to wait months for you to do it and get it to me. These are digital files housed on computers that are all paid for. Every resource used to collect them and disseminate them and house them is paid by the people. So when a member of the people calls for a clip and they have an exact time, they have an exact date, they have the officer, they have the badge number, they have the incident number, they have all the information. They did their job. Now it's time for you to do yours and get them that information. So there is a way to put all of this to rest, and it's as simple as allowing the public transparency. But when we called for a public oversight committee, we were called communists. We were called Marxists. I mean, we were called socialists. Because these things are happening in our township and our officers are acting criminal, and we want to intervene and stop it from happening, and then put new policy in place to prevent it from happening again in the future. Like, one of the most ridiculous things I think this township has in place is some policy that they don't investigate third party claims. So that's a bunch of hot garbage, because you guys have the citizens here so terrified to come forward with their grievances because they've seen over the years how you guys handle grievances, that then you won't even allow someone like me, who has the ability to, I brought you that gun allegation because that was given to me by the person, who was tied to the allegation, who was fearful to come forward. But you guys don't take third party allegations because you know that that's the game. You know that you run this racket of fear mongering the citizen, silent retaliation, driving by their houses late at night. We know. Eric Gass filled me in while he was a sitting commissioner. Pipe down Eric, as I stated, became an ally after that situation. And he told me about the cars outside of his house late at night after he called for the investigation. He told me about Chief Rizzo calling him after the meeting and hitting him with a bunch of motherfuckers and then his wife jumping in to do the same to him. He told me about how he was getting the cold shoulder at the police department. He told me that Commissioner Atwood thought that I was coming to his house late at night in a gold vehicle. I don't have a vehicle, Mr. Atwood, because the vehicle that we had got smashed on July 7th of 2024. And to this day, it hasn't even been given back to our insurance company. In fact, ironically, when I finally got the information of who hit my family and I got in contact with his insurance company, they informed me that they reported it as a single car crash. And the fact that he hit that concrete barrier, I would not be surprised if this was the plan. Katie's probably not going to remember anything that happened. Let's get him off the scene with his dad as fast as we can, with as limited exposure as possible. And then we can just do our song and dance of ignoring citizens. The same things they did to Don Bro when he was calling about his car being stolen and used in a drive-by shooting. We can just ignore people. They still haven't answered for those things to this day. And, because he hit this concrete barrier, that's a pretty good, that works for us because we can get him and his car off the scene. He can report it as some unrelated single car crash. That's their deal. They'll figure that out. And when she comes to, if she makes it, because as they're running this cover up, nobody really knows how bad off she is. I mean, they took her to a level 2 trauma center. So clearly we have life threatening injuries here, and they're conspiring to shield this kid as the mother of my son is potentially dying on her way to a hospital. But since he hit this concrete barrier, that's what we'll tell the family if she dies. That's what we'll tell her if she comes to. We'll just tell them we don't really know what happened, but we found her smashed into this concrete barrier. And that's the level of corruption that I am dealing with right now. That's the level of corruption that has filed 3 unlawful, malicious charges against me and trying to stop me from doing exactly what I'm doing in this video, which is nothing more than telling the truth and getting the information out to the public. They hate it. They hate the free flow of information. They hate somebody with the balls and the backbone to stand right up to him face to face. You don't scare me. I walk in a new way today than I have in my previous years, right? I'm reformed. I was attacked early on when I took this stand for my family. I was attacked early on for the decisions that I made as a teenager. I've completely rectified my situation. I have been of service to the community on multiple occasions over a decade plus. I'm not that person. I was held accountable for what I did. And now I'm looking for the same accountability that was bestowed upon me back in the early 2010s. I'm looking for that to be bestowed upon the gentleman that completely, upended my family's lives. It's unacceptable. It won't be tolerated. And this is just the beginning. So the anonymous letters they're going to start coming out here within the next couple days. Our friend from Canada, John, Mr. Weber, uh, he is going to be the one disseminating some of this information, him and some others, because this is huge. I mean, this is big. I don't know if it's just that people haven't really fully accepted what's happening, but I'm telling you, what we are sitting on top of right now in Westmoreland County, and I've been saying this since essentially the beginning, this will be national headlines. All eyes will be on North. They are already shifting towards North Huntington, but I can promise you that within the next month or two, all eyes are going to be on North Huntington Township. And we will get to the bottom of what happened, not just in my family's accident, but we will get to the bottom of Christian Lewandowski's situation. We will get to the bottom of Colin Bargel's situation. We will get to the bottom of Dr. Bailey's situation. We will get to the bottom of these mysteries, these horrible things that have happened within our community. And anybody and everybody who played a role in harming other human beings will be held accountable. You can take that to the bank, because the only way we rectify things on a national level, the only way, is if every township, borough, and municipality across the country begins to take a stand against the overreach. Because all those commissioner seats are the mayors and all these titles. Though that's just the training ground so that they can find the scummiest they can find, so they can push them up the ladder into the Senate, into Congress, into the White House if they can get them there. And it's all based on, are you going to toe the line? Do you have the ability to, I mean, absolutely shit on other human beings? Because if you have the ability to do that, then we have a position for you. But if you, and that's why, as flattered as I am and as honored as I am that people are commenting things like, you should run for mayor, Nick for president, hey, come to New Zealand. We need a prime minister. It's flattering. I'm honored, seriously, but I promise you, you guys, I promise you, all of you, that is not how we fix this problem. Electing people in is not how we fix the problem. We fix the problem by holding those we elect accountable. We can't just think that we just get to elect a good guy or a stand up woman, and then we get to send them into the cesspool and just expect that they are going to do what they promised they would do, what they are supposed to do. I mean, I think that's pretty common knowledge. Like, Commissioner Chu with Westmoreland County is a perfect example. He's going to donate half of his salary to the drug program. The check has never showed up, not once, to my knowledge. So they tell us everything we want to hear while they're running. They get us to vote for them. Then they go into their chair. We kind of think, okay, we did our job. We voted the right guy, the right girl in. We go about our lives. They may start off in the beginning with these great intentions and doing the right thing, but they quickly get retaliated against. And then their decision becomes, do I join with these people, or do I essentially just put myself in harm's way? Because you better believe the higher you get up on the political field, the crazier I'm sure things get. So, we need to not only elect these people, we do need to get the people out. We need to elect people. I'm not saying that we just stop voting completely, but we need to follow through. I myself have been guilty many, many times, many, many situations, a strong start, but a poor finish. That's not what you're seeing here, because I have done a lot of work to try to fix that defect about myself. And when I start something, I really try to finish it, and I try to finish strong. Okay. But us electing the right person is a great start. But us not sticking around to hold them accountable and make sure that they're doing what they promised they would do, that's an extremely poor finish. So listen, guys, I appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys believing in what we are attempting to do in North Huntington Township. I welcome anybody in the community that has a story that they would like to get out to the public or get on the record. Please reach out to me, civiclens24@gmail.com. And I could not do this without you. I couldn't. Each and every one of you is so, so important. And my words, I can't even find the words to express how important each and every one of you are. So thank you. And